Is there a certain genre, or are you open to who knows?
Oh, I am open to who knows. I will say I listen to all different sorts
Yeah,
of genres.
yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of genres. Yeah, I don't think they should exist.
Wow.
If I'm being
What does
honest.
that mean?
Well, music is so unique. It's art. It's
Uh-huh.
people are laying their hearts out.
Hey everybody, before we jump into today's episode, we'd like to recognize all those who make this podcast possible. The Lead Today show is supported by all the generous donors of the Lead Today community. Thank you so much for investing in shaping leaders through this podcast. And be sure to like and subscribe on whatever platform you are watching or listening today. All right, let's jump into the podcast.
Everybody, welcome back to the Today Count show. I have a friend with me today in studio
That's right.
in San Antonio, Texas. We're a little north of San Antonio, Texas. It is cold outside, but my friend here is Britton Moore. And if you are familiar with The Voice, he has appeared on the television in our homes, in our dens, wherever you watch television. And he got a 4-chair turn. Uh, I call you Brit,
Yeah, that's
right?
just fine.
Okay. And I know not everybody, I've heard your mother call you Britton.
Yeah.
But I've known you as Brit. I mean, I know your name's Britton, but you go by both, I think, right?
Right. I most of the people that are close to me call me Britt,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
always introduce myself as Britton.
Yeah. Before I ask you the question about how did that feel when you got 4 chairs? I mean, when you watch the show, you're just hoping that somebody, I mean, if you like who's singing, or even if you don't like who's singing, you kind of feel bad. You're looking for a chair
Right.
to turn. But the 4 chair, that's like a big deal. But before we talk about that, so how did you get on The Voice? Why did you try to go on The Voice? Just tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
Yeah, when I was first of all, thanks for having me. I
Yeah.
appreciate being here. So when I was real young, I remember always wanting to be on the show because we would watch it, when I was 8, 9, 10.
It's
We
been around that long?
Oh yeah. And I would watch it and just always think to myself, I could totally do that. Like I could totally be up there singing. And that's my singing is my one of my biggest passions. So I've always thought I could do it. And then when I was about 16 years old, sophomore in high school, my mom signed me up. And I didn't know, but she told me, she was like, "Hey, you have a you send in you send in videos to an audition initially."
Yeah.
So I did that when I was 16, and I ended up passing through the first round, and this is all in order to get to the blind audition stage, on NBC. So I did that and I got there. I got accepted and decided to turn it down just because of all of my athletics and all the sports and school and everything I had going on, and COVID as well. That was around that time. And then my senior year, I did it again, and the same thing happened. I auditioned, I got in. They had actually bought my plane ticket out to LA,
Okay.
and I
That's a good sign.
right, and I decided not to go because I was headed to the baseball state championship here in Texas, and I knew that I was going off to play college baseball. So I kind of had some things going on, and that I knew I would never get the chance to play baseball again.
Right.
Um, so, and my dad always told me, uh, "You'll always have your voice. You won't always have
Mm.
baseball."
Yeah, that's good
Um,
counsel.
and so, yeah, I decided to stick with baseball, and I went to college for a year and played baseball at McLennan. And then when I moved back home, I reached out to The Voice again and was like, "Hey, I'm a third time's a charm. Let's do this. Like I'm all in. I'm gonna do this." And they had me send in more videos just to make sure I was the same guy, and here we are. Yeah, so
What's
it's
what's
crazy
fun?
journey.
Yeah, what's funny is when I can get my whole family at church on the same weekend in the same service, we often sit in the same row. And I remember I had heard you sing before, but not really featured like the Christmas Carol set is
Right.
featured. And when you began singing, I'll never forget that. First of all, I went, "Whoa, wait a second." And my family instantaneously all start looking at each other like, what the?" And the way I would describe it is I did not expect what I would call a well-developed voice, first of all, coming out of you. And secondly, the uniqueness that I would say that your voice had was pretty incredible. And as I watched those four chairs turn, there wasn't much hesitation across the board. How did that feel?
It was kind of crazy. And thank you for that. I definitely feel it as a gift, from the Lord for
Trust me,
sure.
it's a gift.
And so,
You can't fake that
right.
voice.
Well, and how did it feel? Let's see. I mean, so you get on the stage and that's probably one of the most nerve-wracking moments of my life.
Mhm.
There's a lot of suspense moving into it. You've been practicing for so long. They get your song. I was singing "Yellow" by Coldplay,
Yeah,
which is a extremely well-known, popular song that
yeah.
most everybody knows. And so I was super confident in it. And then you start singing, and honestly, you're really hoping just for one chair.
Yeah.
Like,
Just get to the next
just
stage.
get on a team.
Right.
Hopefully one of them turns around. So I I wasn't really going in with the expectation of all four. I need all four.
Yeah.
Um, but after Adam Levine turned around in the first couple seconds, um, all the nerves kind of just slipped away, and I felt like um, I was back on North Rock stage worshiping, and I was really pushing for the four chair um, after that moment because I could relax and really
Hmm.
trust my instincts and have
Hmm.
confidence in myself, and so yeah, that was pretty that was pretty insane to think about even now.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, you're not being egotistical or prideful if you were to say that you have a good voice. I mean, come on, let's just be frank. We know you have a good voice, and yet there still can be that insecurity, that doubt, that lack of confidence. That can come from like playing in the infield. And
Hmm.
how many times have you? Have you fielded a ground ball? And in your case, you mostly were in the outfield, but still kind of the same thing. You get the jitters.
Right.
You get the jitters, and you could do it 1,000 times, but you still get the jitters. You mentioned that you were nervous. So I mean, how do you? I'm not talking about that moment in time about how you work through it, but do you at this stage in the development and the ambitions that you have for your singing, let's call it a singing career, do you have some insecurity? Do you have doubt? Do you have?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely have insecurity, but honestly, because of my relationship with the Lord,
Yeah,
I truly believe that He gives me the confidence and
yeah,
He gives me the strength and the assurance that
yeah.
this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Um, and this is so off topic, but when I get real nervous, like the night before, I get super tidy. Like I put everything in place. I get everything in order. I go to sleep real early, so I get like extra prepared.
Hmm.
So I'm not thinking about anything else, and
That's
I can
good.
focus.
Yeah.
Um, I'm playing worship music from 7 p.m. at night
Right.
to all the way up to the point that I'm singing
Right.
on stage, uh, and praying the whole time.
What do you pray?
First off, thank you, Lord, so much for every opportunity,
Mhm.
this incredible opportunity. Thank you for the voice that you've given me. I pray that you would bless somebody else through me as I'm
Mm.
singing. Um, and then just go on to pray for strength and guidance and assurance
Yeah.
throughout the whole process,
Yeah.
and for his hand to be on the whole thing. And I believe that it was.
Yeah.
It was.
I kind of hijacked, I think, where you were going. You said it's kind of off topic, but
Yeah, that is off topic.
yeah.
But when I think about how do I deal with nerves? I
Mhm.
get like super tighty.
Okay. So
Like
that's how you do it. Okay. Well, that kind of makes sense. I know that when I've gone through certain seasons in my life and great stress, I would try to keep myself busy doing something. Otherwise, it would capture me.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So I don't think that's necessarily. I think that's just our human weakness, right? And we got to do something, with that. Um, so so is that how you deal with insecurity and doubt and on a regular basis? Maybe you make sure that you're prepared, over prepare, what just keep yourself
Yeah,
busy?
not necessarily. I do understand. That's kind of how I deal with the nerves. But
Yeah.
as far as insecurity, um, I am extremely blessed to have incredible friends and family
Yeah.
around me that speak life
Yeah.
into me. And so I think surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, people who build you up, people who um, can lift your hands up when you're feeling a little down,
Yeah.
I think is the biggest way that I deal with my insecurity and doubt. Um,
Well, speaking of which, so surrounding yourself, so the chairs turn around, so now you know for sure you're going to be on a team. And it's probably not that big of a deal personally what team wins or which
right,
celebrity wins. But now it becomes kind of like who's the best coach for me.
right.
And I'm just guessing, right?
Yeah,
I'm not in your
absolutely.
shoes. And so you choose Adam. Why Adam?
Well, that's Adam started this show. He didn't start the show, but he was there from the
Right.
very beginning. And so he kind of knows the ropes. And I am a huge fan of all four coaches. John Buble, uh, Kelsey Ballerini, and Adam. But uh, as far as why Adam, one of the first things that he said when they started giving feedback was that he said, when you started singing and you went into your falsetto, it kind of reminded me of the way I do it.
Hmm.
Um,
Adam said that? I don't remember
Adam
him saying that.
Adam
Yeah.
said that, and
Okay.
from that moment, I was like, kind of just blown away, but that really got me, because I've been listening to Adam for a very long time, and he has an incredible voice, and I admire him, and but another big reason is I think Adam would give would choose good songs for me, because I know that these coaches choose your songs.
Right.
Um, and so in my head, Adam, because he knows my voice and he said, you know, we have some similarities. He knows what songs would fit my voice,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Well, I don't know Adam. I've never met him, and maybe he'll listen to this podcast.
maybe so.
But he definitely has the cool vibe coming from him. But I also get the idea that he's intense. Did you experience anything like that with him, or was it just the cool vibe, expert vibe?
Yes, I think he gives off a confidence vibe,
Okay,
which I love.
yeah,
He is competitive like myself.
yeah,
And one of the things that I love about The Voice is that you get to have a coach.
yeah.
And that kind of brings me back to my athletic career and being competitive and having confidence. Um, and so I think one of the biggest things that he will be able to do for me is give me that confidence.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So he did that.
Well, you know, we're getting to the battle rounds.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
can't say much.
Right. Gotcha. So speaking of coaching, what you can and can't say, just in general, think about your football career at Reagan High School and your baseball career, and heck, even go back to Little League when you went to the World Series.
Mhm.
You must have had some pretty decent coaches along the way, I would imagine, and your folks as well, as well as other mentors, maybe.
Mhm.
What kind of coaching do you think that you have picked up so far in life that has stuck with you that you could reverb, that you could, throw out to the universe, so to speak? And if
Right.
somebody wants to catch it, they go, "Oh, that's a good point. I need to think about that."
You know, one of the biggest things that uh, my sports career taught me was that you have really high highs and you can have really, really low
Really?
lows.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way to move forward and to win the championship,
Mm-hmm.
to you know, win the game of life is to stay steady.
Yeah.
Stay steady. Lean on the Lord and stay steady. I think
What does that mean to you? Lean on the Lord. In my work, I don't know how people get better and not bitter without faith.
right.
And so I've got some of my own views on that. But how are you viewing that so far? Because that's a metaphor, right? Leaning on the
Mhm.
Lord. So what does that mean to you, Britt?
I mean, for for me, I have a relationship with the Lord, and I give him everything. Um, Everything that I do is for him, for his glory. And so when I say leaning on the Lord, it means really just trusting him through every process that
Mhm.
he has me in his
Mhm.
hands, that he's lighting every step that
Mhm.
I'm walking. Um, and so just trusting that um, that his will is what's best for me. And so just staying in his will.
So that he has a plan for you, and regardless of how you experience the different episodes and events of life, you still believe that he's with you and guiding you in that process.
Absolutely.
And so you talk to him. And so
Absolutely.
by faith, you believe that you are actually talking to someone
Mhm.
and that someone is listening
That's right.
and in different ways communicating back
Mhm.
to you. That's pretty powerful. A lot of people don't believe that.
And, that's what's so awesome is actually on on The Voice. I, have already had the incredible opportunity to just speak about those things.
And be open
Um,
about it. How was that received?
oh, it's been awesome.
Great.
It really has,
Yeah.
because you know what? Our world is curious.
Mm.
People are curious. And so when they see somebody living out their faith, they get curious and they start asking questions. Are you actually praying? Are you actually talking to God?
Mhm.
What is he saying?
Mhm.
Those kinds of questions. And then so just sharing some of those thoughts with with some of the contestants has been really, really cool. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, this episode is about you and where you've been and where you're at and where you hope to go. So it's not about me, but to validate what you were saying about consistency. You're bringing me back to my high school and college days, where when I would walk into what we called the wrestling tunnel,
Mhm.
and there is a ranking system in wrestling in each weight class. You could have 4 guys or 10 guys in a weight class, and it's not based on any politics or it's really only based on one metric,
Right.
whether you win or lose
Mhm.
on the mat. And I remember when I walked in as a freshman and I saw all these guys in my weight class, and halfway up the list, yeah, I was on the bottom and halfway on the list, I thought, these are guys I could never, ever beat. So why am I here? And some of the best advice I got from my coach is you just got to keep showing up and keep learning and keep learning. And sure enough, as one practice turned into a week of practices, turned into the month, you start climbing that ladder, and
Mhm.
one by one, they're your teammates, but they're also in wrestling your opponent because you want to be at the top,
Right.
the top spot. And the guys that I thought I could never beat fell one at a time, one at a time. But most of it was because even though one day I'd get my butt kicked, to your point, I wouldn't throw in the towel.
Oh.
I'd say, okay, what did I learn from that?
Yep.
And I'd keep going back and keep going back. And then my dad was good too. He would always whisper things in my ear like, he's a human being, you're a human being.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's going to come down to who wants it most. And that's kind of a human thing, but it's a God-given human thing, right?
Right. Right.
So let me ask you then with that, and I'm going to test you a little bit here, Brett.
Come on.
So what are your ambitions, right? I mean, because you did have a fork in the road. Like you said, you engaged in this when you were 16, but then you re-entered at another place
Right.
where you left baseball. You were in college baseball, and you decided that you're going to take a different road. I don't
Yeah.
know that you decided it was music at that time, or maybe I got the story wrong, but you definitely said, "All right, I'm going to leave baseball behind and I'm going to take this other fork."
Right.
So what are your ambitions as you understand them today?
As I understand them today, well, that one is tough. That one is tough. Leaving sports early from college, my entire life, all I wanted to do was play sports.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the MLB, play in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's every kid's dream.
Right. I wanted to play second base for the
Exactly.
Detroit Tigers.
Exactly. Exactly. And uh, it looked like that might have been possible.
Yeah.
And so
Maybe
that's
for
what,
you, but not for me.
right.
Mine ended really quick.
Hey, well, you know what? You had wrestling though.
Yeah, I had wrestling. Yeah. Can't make a whole lot of money in wrestling in those days. Now today, that's changing.
It's a
but
different
yeah,
story.
different story.
But my dream was always sports.
Yeah.
And for sports to pay for college.
Yeah.
Honestly. And so when I went off to McLennan and got, I did great there, and it was good. And I went to an incredible church there and actually led worship
Yeah.
up in Waco at Glory Bell. But moving home, and that first summer out of the first year of college, when I decided to stop playing baseball, um, my entire vision was completely shattered. I had no idea.
Hmm.
I was very frustrated and angry, and that first year back at home was not the greatest year for me. And I struggled with, I, I never stopped believing in God, but
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't tell me any of this. I want you to keep going.
yeah,
You didn't tell me any of this, but those who know you and care about you, we could see it from a distance that
mhm.
you were a bit
I was quiet.
quiet.
I definitely
Keep
did get
going.
quiet.
Hey everyone, we're going to take a brief break from the podcast to let you know our very own Jim Piper has released a brand new book called Story, The Art of Learning from Your Past. Everyone has a past, but not everyone learns from it. Jim unpacks lessons in this book that help leaders and learners understand the potential our past has to impact our present and our future. Be sure to grab your copy of Story where books are sold. All right, let's get back to the podcast.
And yeah, so I actually wrestled with God and what he was doing with my life, and I was so confused, and the more I was here, uh the more I realized that um this is where I need to be. And then the opportunity of the voice came along and actually came through for me. And I was like, okay, Lord, I understand what you're doing. I don't know why, but I understand what you're doing. And so getting that clarity has been great. But my vision for the future,
I mean, you are getting a lot of attention right now, right?
Yes,
And social media is kind of blowing up too, right?
it absolutely
Yeah.
is.
Hmm.
And you know, my dreams are to write, record, release music that impacts people for the better, that
Hmm.
brings joy to somebody's day. And with North Rock Worship, that may end up leading somebody to Jesus. So that is really my goals right now. Is to do my individual music and also write for the church.
So, so I've been waiting to ask you this question. I already asked it to you, but I'm going to come at another angle. And again, nothing against Adam, but I thought you were going to pick Buble.
Yeah,
I just could have sworn that that's what you were going to do because I've heard you sing those kinds of songs
right.
and it just fit so darn well. So now you've left me puzzled. Is there a genre that you prefer or genres that you think that, if you're shaping
Mhm.
this ambition to make music, how you, uh, you know, make your dent in the world, how you, all those cliches that we have,
Right,
leave the world a
right.
better place. It's your purpose. It's why God has you here, et cetera, et
Mhm.
cetera. Is there a certain genre or are you open to who knows?
Oh, I am open to who knows. I will say I listen to all different sorts
Yeah.
of genres.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of genres. I don't think that
To
they
get
should.
stuck in
I,
one or
yeah, I don't think they should exist.
wow.
If I'm being
What does
honest.
that mean?
Well, music is so unique that it's art. It's
Uh-huh.
people are laying their hearts out.
Uh-huh.
And to categorize them is really difficult. And there are, there's rock and there's pop and there's rap and there's worship and there's all different kinds. But I don't know what my music would be. And I know Bublé is kind of more of that crooner vibe, and then Adam is more pop star. Um, but I wasn't too confident in the songs that Bublé may end up choosing,
Hmm.
but I knew that Adam would do well, so we shall see.
Well, you know what? Yeah, now you're going to send me on a little bit of a bunny trail here. So I think it was yesterday when we recorded a podcast where we kind of have two tracks in this podcast. We're trying two tracks. One is a leadership track, and that's where we're going to put this
Mhm.
episode with you. But the other is what we call the Genesis Project, where we're kind of talking through the book of Genesis. And we were in chapter 10 yesterday, which a lot of people probably skipped that chapter because it has the feel and looks like a genealogy.
Right.
So and so begat so and so who begat so and so. And you're going, okay, this isn't really touching me. So I'm going to move on, to the next chapter.
Mhm.
Well, the next chapter is the Tower of Babel. And
Goodness.
the last verse in Genesis 10 lays the groundwork for why the Tower of Babel was disappointing for God. And then it kind of touches back to the book of Revelation and John's vision, where John has a vision that someday there's all of these peoples of the earth that are gathered around our creator and are speaking and singing praises to him
Mhm.
from every tribe, every nation, and every tongue, which if you pay attention to the reading of scripture, that is more than inferring or implying that God never intended all humans to look alike, speak the same language, but that there is a obvious creative streak in God where he
Absolutely.
loves diversity and he loves uh, a variety of expressions,
Yeah.
even in how people worship God. It is
Mhm.
not God's intent for it to be one way.
Everybody be the same.
I
Yeah.
wish
Yeah.
other people would understand that. And so your answer is kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
I know that though I have, genres that and frankly that, what did you call Bublé's style?
A crooner
A
type
crooner. I
style.
don't even know what that
Yeah,
means.
you can Frank Sinatra type vibe.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So as I've gotten older, I've noticed that I do have my Pandora set to some of that. But I also grew up in the 60s and 70s, and particularly the 70s, and so that classic rock, is something I like, to my parents' dismay, because of some of the lyrics, aren't the best for a Christian boy to be listening to. But you know what, even the old Christian hymns I like listening to, and there's a lot of current day
Mhm.
contemporary Christian music that is just, as you guys say, off the shelf, really, uh, really cool.
It is awesome.
Yeah, I really enjoy that. And when I have to listen to country uh, music because my wife likes that, then there's songs that I pick up. And of course, country today is not like it was, you know,
Right.
back in the day, Merle Haggard and those kinds, although that's good stuff,
That is good
for that,
stuff.
that kind of thing. So your answer is not really. You don't really have a
And everybody says that you need one. And
because it's a target market, right?
right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
And I think my plan is just to write and make music and then see after it's done
Yeah.
what it is. So
Yeah. So what's the next step
the next step.
with this ambition, this vision, this hope and dream?
Well, I just released my very first song,
Right.
Harmony. And that was a dream of mine
I like it too.
to
Yeah.
thank you to release, write, record, and release.
Well,
Yeah,
let me interrupt you. What caused because you wrote the song.
I did.
So what is it's interesting. I'm going to be giving a talk in a couple weekends, and I'm not going to spoil it right now, but I did some research on what percentage of songs have a foundation of the past, or have a foundation of the present, or have a foundation of the future. And it's really interesting what I learned. But tell me about what's behind the song.
That's really tough because it is about finding your love.
Yeah.
It really is. And that's what it was intended.
Mm-hmm.
But it has that feel of it kind of makes you happy. It just kind of
Mhm.
has that happy vibe. As far as like truth, personal truth behind it,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have a love life currently.
Yeah.
So I guess you would call it's future based.
Futuristic. Yeah.
I'm just writing it as I would want it to be.
Mhm.
Is kind of how
Yeah.
I view it. So
And in your mind's eye, you see attributes of this future person,
mhm.
and um, that's good. And what's the name of the song again?
It's called Harmony.
Harmony.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
harmony. And so the idea of harmony is that the two of you would be able to live in harmony.
Right.
And yeah,
It's
it's a great play.
thank you.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I get excited about writing. So
How do people find the song?
anywhere. Anywhere you listen to music, Spotify, Apple
If
Music.
you just Google harmony,
If you Google Harmony, you can find it on YouTube. You can go anywhere and
or
find it.
Britton Moore, or is it Brit Moore?
Britton Moore.
Britton Moore.
Yes.
See, we came back to the Brit. I kind of set you up for that.
Thank
you. Britt, what do you want people to, besides the things that we've kind of walked through and talked through? I mean, your mom and dad pastor a church in North San Antonio called North Rock Church.
Yes.
And before that, they were involved in ministry in Austin, as I understand it, and even before that. So you've grown up in a home of faith, obviously, and I watched you play football. I watched you play baseball. I probably watched more of your football than I did your baseball.
Football's a bit easier to watch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm a baseball guy though, so it really wasn't me. It was like I couldn't. I Rhonda likes to go to games. My wife likes to go to the games to sing, take me out to the ball game.
Yep.
Well, that doesn't happen.
That doesn't happen. I know.
Yeah, yeah, and we don't. Yeah, so I would love to take sunflower seeds, um, and
Mm.
and think about the 2-in-1 pitch, and
There's nothing like it.
yeah, I mean, I'm a baseball guy, so for me it's therapy. If I need therapy to escape from
Oh,
my
yeah.
current realities, that is a positive thing to do versus a negative thing to do, right?
Mhm.
Yes, and of course football. Yeah, football things can change in a moment. So that's definitely there. But so that kind of, and then the voice, that part we've kind of and your hopes for the future. What else do you want people to know about you?
Oh, man. Well, yeah, I feel like I'm a deep thinker. I don't talk
Hmm.
in deep ways very much, but when I get the chance, I do. Um, but I think deeply about a lot of
Yeah.
things. And I don't know what that has to do with anything, but it's not a hobby of mine to think deeply. It's just something
You
that
just end up doing it.
right.
Yeah.
And so that's why I love more recently I've been fascinated with communication and just like hearing you speak and listening to my dad and then listen to several other speakers, on Spotify where I listen.
Yeah. The voice is an instrument.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's powerful.
Yeah.
So it's I've been getting into that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think I see people. I know that's deep as well, but I think yeah, I see people. I pray that I see people like Jesus does.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he's definitely given that to me.
That should come out in the writing of your songs then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I'm I'm coming out with one soon that's called Already Here, and it's just talking about past, present, future, and just living in the present. And that kind of shows in that song. But yeah, and I am super passionate about sports. I'm very competitive. I'm not as competitive as my dad and my brother, I don't think. I love music. I love the church, and I love clothes. I love style. I think that's the artist side in me. I love being creative, and that's what I love about music is you get the opportunity to create.
Yeah, it's funny because I was going to ask you about your brother here in a
Yeah.
minute, and you threw your dad and your brother in a bucket of competitors, and they would probably say that I'm competitive.
You are.
Yeah, I am, but as I get older, I kind of notice like you notice things, yeah, so I've played golf with your dad, and I
Mhm.
could see his competitiveness. I can see it. And I've played golf and basketball. I played basketball with you too, and golf with you too.
Yeah.
But I've definitely seen your brother Mason competitive. There's
Yes.
in fact, he makes me giggle.
Yes.
He he makes me giggles. The question I had for you regarding Mason, I didn't tell you this before we hit record, but I just kind of thought about it as we were talking. So, you guys from a distance seem to have a pretty good relationship.
Mhm.
I know it's probably not perfect all the time
Right.
because I can sense that too, since I have brothers. But uh, what is your relationship like? I mean, he sings as well,
Yeah, he's the worship director at North Rock, which
right?
is where I sing every weekend. So he schedules me every weekend to sing. So we get to worship together.
You guys fight about it?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
You
not.
don't fight about anything in the music realm?
No, I honestly think we see eye to eye on a
Yeah.
lot
But you
of
fight during
things.
ping pong. I've
Absolutely.
seen you fight.
Absolutely. And now we don't play ping pong anymore.
That's like,
It's true. That is a true statement. We don't because
yeah.
it'll turn into a fight. Um, but you know, I respect my brother so much.
Hmm.
I I think that we understand each other probably better than anybody else understands us.
Yeah.
Um, because we have something very specific in common. Um, being brothers, of course, but the life that we live is very interesting.
It's unique.
It's unique. It is unique. And so, growing up together, we weren't always the closest. We would fight all the time. Um, but as brothers do, we know we love each other. And as we've gotten older and matured, um, he knows that I look up to him a lot, and I see the consistently good decisions that he makes, and I strive to do that. Yeah, we have a really good relationship. Honestly, it's not like we hang out all the time because
Right.
we don't.
Yeah.
But
You're developing your own trails, and at
absolutely,
the same time still connected as brothers.
and we always will be.
Yeah. That's wonderful. So, Britt, when it's not music and when it's not sports, what are you doing with your time?
This is the tough one because a lot of people have video games
Mm,
or Netflix
yeah.
or just something that takes them away from anything else that they're doing in their life. But um, if not music, if not sports, well, first of all, music is is a huge part. I've
Hmm.
recently gotten into the piano, and so most of my downtime is sitting at the piano playing because I need to get better. But if not music, and now it's not sports, I spend a lot of time at the church, in community, with my church family, and hanging out with friends.
Yeah.
We'll go hot tub and
Yeah.
just kind of relax and yeah. I mean that is seriously my life. Other than YouTube, which I don't watch very much of at all.
Is your work kind of split between the grocery store that you work at and the
That's
church?
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do work at
Yeah.
HEB, which is phenomenal. I love
Yeah.
everybody there. They are very kind. Um, and yeah, that is I work at the church and now I'm intern for the church and now
Yeah.
I work at HEB. So,
Well, Britt, you're extremely talented. That's obvious in multiple ways, and I think you have parents who've done a really great job keeping you grounded. In that, a lot of temptations come with talent. So I look up to you in that way. I'm proud of you in that way, and I just you know you're gonna do amazing. I can't say, I can't see into the future. I wish I could. I can't say how it's all going to come down, but you're already well respected, well followed, and again, um, I just hope that you don't become too big of a shot not to come back to the takeout show
I'd
at some
love it.
time
I'd
in the
love it.
future.
I'll always come, Pastor.
Oh goodness. Okay, so before we sign off, Britt, again? You said all we got to do is Google. Is there any other way that you want people to find your music and what you're up to?
Well, you can always follow me on TikTok or Instagram,
Okay.
just at Britton Moore. If you
Okay.
type in my name, it'll pop up. And so you can follow me on the socials, and I'll be coming out with 2 more songs here very soon.
Awesome. I
And
wanted to hear
then,
that.
yeah, and then continue watching on The Voice.
Great. Great. Britt, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us here at the Today Count Show. Be sure to like and subscribe on whatever platform you listen or watch so you don't miss any content. And stay tuned for more coming soon.